Good afternoon, and welcome to everyone joining us live. If you're here today, you're likely considering to apply for a career in the EU institutions with the new entry-level administrator competition, the 85 graduates. So this is a very special competition. It is the first time in 7 years that the European Personnel Selection Office launches a competition open to graduates from any discipline with no previous professional experience required. My name is Sandra Cavallo, and I'm the head of the Outreach and Communication Unit at EPSO, the European Personnel Selection Office. I will be moderating today's session. I'm joined by my colleague Koen Hendricks, who is our team leader for external communication. Thank you, Koen, for being here with me. And Koen will start to walk you through the key elements of the competition. And after that, we will dedicate the rest of the session to question and answers, to replying to your question and answers. So we'll begin in just a moment to allow a few more participants to join. We expect to receive tens of thousands of applications. And I think that the number of people joining today's live event is actually a testimony to the high level of interest that we have for this competition. So I will share a first tip before we even begin our session. If you're planning to apply for this competition and you haven't done it yet, please submit your application as soon as possible. If you wait until the last minute and you need help from the candidate support, you may not be able to receive assistance in time. So please don't leave it to the last minute. I would say don't leave it even to the last week. Do it as soon as possible. Now, feel free to tell us in the comments where you are connecting from. It's always fascinating to see how European our audience is. And please, during this session, use the comments to post your questions so that we will look at them and hopefully address as many as possible. We have behind the scenes our communication team who will help me and Koen to filter and organize your questions. And during the 45 minutes we have together, we will try to go through as many as possible. You will see we have a timer on the screen that will help us to stay on track. Now, if you know somebody who has had to miss this session but would be interested probably in the content, or if yourself need to jump out at any moment, know that this session will be recorded and will be available afterwards in the EU Careers LinkedIn page. So now, Koen, you worked with many competitions, EPSO competitions over the years. What do candidates need to know about this 85 graduates competition in particular?
Okay, thanks, Sandra, for this introduction, and a big welcome from my end as well. This is indeed a major opportunity for many of you to come and join the EU institutions. As Sandra said, this is the first time we run this 85 graduates competition in 7 years. So indeed, the attendance or the applications numbers will be quite high. And I'm happy to run you or to walk you through a number of slides and then also show you around the website a bit to show you what you should really read and look at if you want to apply. And then, of course, we'll take your questions and answer them at the best of our knowledge. So let me share the screen right away and walk you through these slides, which some of you may recognize because actually we have this slideshow available on the website where you see me speaking through them or talking through them. I'll do a bit the same now, and I will highlight a bit of important parts in these slides. So there are a number of steps you have to take in the right order to apply to this competition, and I will walk you through these different steps in the next few minutes. So first of all, you have to meet a couple of eligibility criteria. This is an AD5 level or grade competition. AD stands for administrator, and that's an internal term referring to the graduate level staff. So you need a graduate degree. It should be what we call, in common terms, a bachelor's university degree, which basically means it must be a 3-year university degree or equivalent. Okay. Of course, if you have a diploma which is higher or longer in length, if you have a master's degree, if you have a PhD, even if you have work experience on top, of course, you can always take part in this competition. What you see on the screen here are the minimum criteria. So a degree, a bachelor's degree in any field of study allows you to take part in this competition. We really do not discriminate whatever you study, you can take part in this opportunity. Now, even people who are still in their final year of studies can already apply, as you can see on the screen here. As long as you get your diploma by the 30th of September this year, you can already apply for this opportunity, for this competition, so don't miss out on it. As you can see, we are looking to select a very high number of successful candidates. 1,490 is the number of people, successful people on the reserve list, the list of successful candidates. So try and be one of them. Now, apart from the degree, you also need to select 2 EU test languages. You will be tested in 2 different EU languages, and you have the free choice among all 24 official languages to sit these tests in. Now, the majority of the candidates will take their mother tongue as language 1, for instance, and English, for instance, as language 2. But then again, every combination of 2 EU languages is as good as any other. So you can freely choose which language you want to use to sit your tests in. One of those languages should be at level C1, the other at level B2. Now, these levels are indicative, meaning you do not have to prove your language ability or skill by any certificate or degree. Just sitting the tests and being successful in these tests shows us that you master the language at the level required for filling our vacancies. Once you have applied, and we are currently in the application period, which still runs until the 10th of March. And as Sandra said, if you hesitate, don't hesitate, right? And try and apply as fast as you can. Don't wait until the last days, because we may be flooded with applications in the last days. And then it'll be very hard for us to assist you in case you need assistance to apply. So if you think about applying, you still have 2 weeks left, but try and do it in the next few days. Once you have applied, you will be invited to the tests, and you see them on the screen here. I will walk you through these tests in detail a bit later in the talk here. But you should know that you will be sitting these tests remotely. Now, this is important. You basically sit these tests from your home computer, so you don't travel to a test center anywhere in Europe. You basically take these tests from your home computer. Now, since you take them from home, and this is to make your life easy in a way, you will understand that this way of testing comes with quite a strict test environment. Now, I will show you on the website, and we go there right away. You must have seen this website already, where you can apply here to the graduate competition. And first of all, you see this little slideshow that I just pointed out. Here you have a little video, which is quite interesting, which shows you all the steps to take to apply successfully. Really step by step, it will show you around where to click on which screen to make your application successfully. Down here, you will find the apply button. You see it here, but before you apply, you should first of all read the notice of competition, which is the legal document holding all the key information about this competition. Please take the time to read this document. It's really important. Down here, you find the instructions on how to apply, right? So have a look there as well. And down here, you find the technical requirements you need, and I will click there now, to run this test. The test will be done by this test provider. As you can see, we have 2 different test providers. This competition will be done by this test provider. And you see, you will have to download an extension. You will need to have the administrator rights on your computer. So I really suggest you do not use your work computer, for instance, because you may not have administrator rights to it. There are a number of requirements you need to meet. And here is an interesting video which shows you how to prepare before the testing day and how to start your test on the testing day. Have a look at these 2 videos. It will help you getting ready for these tests. And a bit down here, you will see some green and red information, basically showing you what you can have around you during the day of the testing and what you cannot have around you, right? It is quite important that you are really set correctly for this test when it comes to it. All right, so have a look at this page before you go there. So once you have done all the tests, and I'll speak about them in a minute, you will be given, of course, your results, and then the best ranked people are the ones who will be placed on this on the reserve list, and these people form the pool from which the different institutions recruit their staff. So in detail, the application phase is currently ongoing, as I said. You need to create an account in the single candidate portal. Now, to create such an account, you need an EU login. If you don't have one yet, you should create one. Now, please listen carefully. You cannot create such an EU login with a virtual account. So in some websites, as you may know, you can log in through your Facebook account or through your Google account or through your EID. This is not the case with us. You need a real email address. And then again, I suggest you do not use your work email or your student email, because once you leave university or you change employer, you will not have access to that email anymore, which means you won't have access to your account anymore. So use a private email address to register for this competition. You can apply in any of the 24 languages. You should do so by the 10th of March, as you know. And then by the 7th of October, you need to upload your degree, which gives you access to this competition. Once you have applied, you will be invited to the tests. So basically, everybody who applies gets invited to these tests. We do not do an eligibility check up front. This would take us too much time. So everybody is invited to sit these tests. We start with assessing your reasoning skills, verbal, numerical, abstract reasoning. As you can see, verbal reasoning is scored separately. 10 out of 20, you need to get a minimum. And then numerical and abstract reasoning are scored combined, you see. So in theory, if you score 0 out of 10 for numerical and you score 10 out of 10 for abstract, you are still good to go, right? This is a multiple choice set of questions. You sit this test in language 1. Now again, I suggest you use your best language for this test, right? For most people, this will be the mother tongue. For some of you who master several languages at equal level, you can choose, of course. If you hesitate in which language to take this test, have a look at our sample tests. We have sample tests available in all 24 languages, so you can play around with your language there to see in which language you perform best. Please also note that you sit these tests or these questions under time pressure. So you need to practice this. If you don't train this, it'll be very hard to get good marks here. Okay, so train this. You can do so on our website. You will find test material also online. And many member state authorities offer training and guidance to their nationals. So when you apply, you will find in the application form a tick box saying something like, I give consent to EPSO to share my details with my member state authority. Well, if you do so, we are indeed able to share your details, and then your member state authorities can reach out to you and offer you guidance and training for this competition. All right. The second test is an EU knowledge test, again multiple choice, this time in language 2, where we test your EU knowledge. So knowledge about the EU institutions, the various policies, the different institutions, the way they collaborate, the priorities of the Commission, all these things. Now, to help you prepare for this competition, we will publish about 2 months prior to the testing date a link to a set of material which is basically the source material from which we draw the questions. So it is study material. It'll be a lot. It'll be easily 500 to 600 pages, but use this information to prepare thoroughly to this test, okay? The third test is a digital skills test where we indeed assess your digital skills. As you can see here, information and data literacy, digital content creation, safety on the web, all these things. Again, you will find sample tests on our website, so go have a look there. It is also a multiple choice test, again in your second language. The fourth and last test is a written test, so not a multiple choice test, but a written test, where we assess your written communication skills. Now, again, about 2 weeks, not 2 months, but 2 weeks prior to the testing date, we will send you material, documentation, which is the key material about which we will ask you the question. So you can again read this, study this material, this kind of a file on EU matters. And then on the day of the test, you will receive a question related to this documentation, and you will have then to answer in an open text kind of format, like an essay to draft. So if you are free or recently out of university, you must be familiar with this kind of tests. These are the essays that you use to draft or write at uni as well. This is the competition. As you can see, there's no oral testing involved. Everything happens on a keyboard remotely. This is the competition. Of course, once you are on the list of successful candidates and you start applying, of course, there will be an oral interview at that stage, but that's not part of the competition. The competition ends here. Now, when you sit these tests, you will not know how you score. So we do not share intermediate scores. So you will only know the scoring at the end. And how do we score? Well, you see it here. Scoring works in two phases. First, there is a preliminary scoring where we, EPSO, we look at all the multiple choice tests, right? That's the first sifting in a way. And you can see here, and this is important, that the verbal reasoning test weighs a lot. It weighs 40% in the overall scoring. So you see, you really have to prepare well for this verbal reasoning test. And that is why it's so important to use your best language for this test, okay? As you can also see, the numerical and abstract reasoning score does not count in the overall weight. You just need to reach the pass mark, which is 10 out of 20. As long as you reach that pass mark, you are still in the running for a place on the list of successful candidates. And then you see the EU knowledge test and the digital skills test are weight 30%. Once we have this preliminary scoring, we have a ranking, which enables us to look at the 1.5 times the number we need. So about 2,200 people are the top ranked people after the scoring. And of those people, we will score the written tests. We'll add then the written test to the scoring, and we review the weight. And as you can see, the verbal reasoning is still very high, 35%. EU knowledge and digital skills count for 25%, and then the written test counts for 15%. And this gives us a new ranking. And then the top 1,490 are the successful people, the laureates of this competition, who end up on the reserve lists. Once you are on this list, you are recruitable. And now this recruitment works in both ways. You are on this list and you will have access to a number of internal vacancies. And you can freely apply to any vacancy that you seem interested in. And it also works the other way around. Recruiters have access to this list and can contact you if they see that you seem to match their vacancy. They will then invite you to a job interview, as I said earlier on. And if the interview goes well, you are offered a job. If not, you stay on the list, and you can stay as long on this list as the validity lasts. And initially, the validity is 1.5 years, and it can then be extended as long as we have people on this list. So I will stop sharing right now. And I see we have about 26 minutes left, which gives us the time to answer your questions. Sandra.
Yes, thank you, Koen. You gave a lot of information. So first of all, I want to say there were some people that were waiting in the events page on LinkedIn, and so they may have connected a bit later. So many of them are asking if the event will be recorded. Yes, it will be recorded. So don't worry if you missed the first minutes of Koen's information, you will be able to see it afterwards. So that just to reassure those of you who join us late. I see that we're almost 2,000 people that are following this event live. So I'm happy to see all this interest. Now let's start with the questions, because there are a lot of questions in the chat scrolling, and thanks to the colleagues of the communication team who are filtering them for us. I think that the first question that I see recurring most is about the testing dates. And maybe, Koen, if you can also say a bit more about how the testing is organized. For example, somebody is asking, are there breaks during the exam, or is the test available immediately after submitting the application?
Yeah, all good questions, and let me elaborate a bit on that. So currently, we do not know yet when the testing period will be, and I will explain why. This will actually depend highly on the number of applicants that we attract. And as Sandra said, we expect tens of thousands, right? It can be between 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe more thousands of candidates. And depending on that volume, we can see when we can start testing. So the testing will not be in one single day for everybody. There will be a testing period. We do not know yet if a single candidate will be tested in one single session or over multiple days. Multiple days, it would not be more than 2. So it's either 1 day or 2. Usually, for, say, normal competitions, you sit all the tests in 1 day, in, say, half a day, and there are small breaks in between each test, like 10-minute breaks in between each test, but you sit them consequently. But as I said, for this competition, we may have to split the test over 2 separate days. We will know this only after closing the application period, so after the 10th of March. Now, rest assured, we will not test in March. We will not test in April. So as soon as we know the exact period of testing, we will let you know. Also good for you to know, we will not test over the summer period. So say from the 15th of July until the end of August, we will not test. I mean, everybody takes summer holidays and will not test during this summer holiday break. Okay, as soon as we have more information about that, we will let you know. All right, Sandra?
Yes, thank you. Following on the testing, there are some questions about the digital skills testing, how it works, and also the EU knowledge test, how it works and how to prepare.
Yeah. So regarding the EU knowledge test, as I said, we will publish 2 months prior to the testing date a link to the source material from which we draw the questions. You can already start preparing now because on the website, and if you like, I will quickly share again and show you the website where to find the material to already start testing, okay? So here's the website. If you go to EPSO testing here, right, you see here EPSO test competitions, and here you see the graduate competition, all right? If you go there, you see the material for the 4 different tests that we make available. I already said about the reasoning skills tests. We have sample tests available in all languages, as you can see here. Regarding the EU knowledge test, as we say here, you know, the test material will be made available later on. In the meantime, you can already find a selection of publications here. So if you click there, you will see a number of publications which already help you to prepare for this competition or for this particular test on EU knowledge, right? Regarding the digital skills, same thing. We have test material available on the website. It's not a lot, but it gives you an idea of what we want to test. So information literacy, safety on the web, online tools like SharePoint, Teams, these kind of things. Again, your member state authorities can give you more guidance on the digital skills test and the other tests when you reach out to them and when they basically contact you to offer guidance. Sandra?
Yes, thank you, Koen. Now, still on the testing, I think this is the topic that has more interest, of course, from everybody who is expecting to pass it. So one question is about the verbal reasoning score, because you highlighted, Koen, that it is very important for this competition. Yes. So the question is, why did we get these high weights? And also, you showed that numerical and abstract reasoning are not included in the final scoring. So can you clarify how this works? Yeah,
sure. So you should probably know that up to now, all the competitions we did before this one, we always had these reasoning skills tested, verbal, numerical, abstract, always included. But these scores never weighed in the final scoring. You just had to meet or reach the pass mark. This time, for the first time, the verbal reasoning will be counted in the overall scoring, and indeed highly. And why is that? Well, actually, in this competition, since it is a competition which is open to all fields of study, we attract a high range or a high variety of people with different backgrounds. So we will attract people who are good in all kinds of fields. And this gives us the opportunity to select between these people, the ones who are good in communication. As you can see, we test verbal communication, and we also test written communication in the last test. These two combined in the final scoring, if you remember, it gave 35% of weight for the verbal reasoning and 15% for the written communication test, which is 50% all over. We really want to attract people who have a good knowledge in their own field, and on top of that, they are able to summarize information, to highlight information from a document, to prioritize information, to write reports, to write for the web. These are really the people we are looking to select through this competition. So that's why it's key to prepare well for this verbal reasoning and for the written test.
Thank you. Following up still on the topic of testing, maybe we can spend a few words on the technical aspects of the online testing. So many participants are asking about what about wireless mouse, multiple screens? So what is the setup that is needed? You already spent a few words, but you can clarify a bit better.
Yes, indeed. What I'll do, you know what? I'll go back to sharing the screen and showing you on the website where you find all this information, because it is quite clear on the website. So I'll go back to the home page and start from there. So here you find the competition. If you go to Get Started, down here, you find, as I said here, the technical requirements for testing. And as I said up front, it is indeed quite strict, since we don't want you to cheat, of course, while sitting these tests remotely. So during the whole test, you will be proctored. Basically, it means you will be watched through your webcam. And it says down here what you can have and what you cannot have. So you can have a laptop, of course. You can have a single screen. Now, this also means that, of course, if you don't have a desktop, but if you don't have a laptop but a desktop, you can, of course, use that screen. If you have a second screen attached to your laptop, some people prefer it. Actually, my setup now is a laptop with a second screen. As long as you close your laptop, you can use that larger screen, which may enable you to sit these tests at a bigger screen, which may make it easier for you. So you cannot have dual screens. You cannot have two screens. Your mouse can be wireless. Your keyboard can be wireless. There's no issue there. So really everything which is allowed is mentioned here. If it's not in this list, and if it's not in the prohibited list, it means that you can use it, right? It's important that you can have a drink, but you can only have it in a transparent glass, not in a cup. You will also notice that when you sit in a room where you take this test, you have to be alone in that room. You will have to show with your camera that you are indeed alone. You will even have to show, and now you will start laughing, you will even have to show that nobody is hiding under your table, right? So it's quite strict, as I said, but then again, it comes with the ease of sitting these tests from home. Yeah, it is important to not move out of camera view. You will always have to look at your screen. You cannot look too long left or right. So please read these things, read the instructions. You will receive a detailed instruction guide at the moment when we invite you to the testing date. And there again, read this document to really be prepared for this testing. I'll stop sharing now and we can maybe take another question.
Yes, so one question is if the materials for the test will be available during the test itself.
So regarding the EU knowledge test, no. So 2 months prior to the testing date, we will make this information available. You can study it, but then at the day of testing, you have to solve the questions from your brain. You cannot look at the material again. When it comes to the written test, there, yes. So as I said, 2 weeks prior to the testing date, you will receive the file, the documentation related to this question that will then pop up. And on the testing date, you will have access to this documentation, and then you will receive the question, and the question refers to this information, and you can indeed look it up and use that information to draft the essay on the day of the testing. So for this written test, you do not need prior knowledge to anything. All the information needed to solve the question will be in the documentation provided 2 weeks prior to the testing date.
Very good. Maybe one thing that I want to mention, because some people are in the chat mentioning technical problems in the past. I just want to say that people who have done EPSO competitions in the past and have had technical problems, if they submit a request for review or a complaint, all the requests are checked very carefully by our teams in EPSO. So anybody who has had a problem and has had a complaint, if there are due reasons, they may be invited to visit an exam. So there are ways to address these issues. I don't know, Koen, if you want to add something on this.
No, indeed, we have indeed encountered some issues in the past. First of all, we now have another test provider. Some people may have taken tests with the other test provider, TestWe. With the current one, it goes much better. We've done a lot of dry runs internally before really using the test provider. We've done already one competition with them as well. But now with this one again, the test environment is quite stable, so you should not encounter too many issues. It always happens, of course. There's always a small percentage that has issues. That's the way it works now in online testing. But it's really a minimum. And as Sandra said, if ever you are a person who encounters issues, you just reach out to us and we will find a way to either offer you a new testing date or see what went wrong and help you during the day of the testing.
Very good. So let's move maybe to some questions about eligibility. First of all, I saw one question that was about combination of languages. Is there any combination of languages that gives you more points than another?
Yeah, it's a good question. As I said in the beginning, you are really free to choose any combination of languages. Now, again, for the majority of you, it will not be an issue. You have your mother tongue plus probably English or French. That's easy. Now, take the theoretical example of someone who chooses Maltese and Irish as a language combination. It's totally possible. All languages are really equal. You can sit your language in your test in any combination of two languages. So if this person who takes the tests in Maltese and Irish is successful, this person eventually will end up on the reserve list. Now, you will agree with me that whenever this person wants to find a job and wants to be recruited, if this person only speaks Maltese and Irish, it'll be very hard to find a job. So during the interview, that person will need to show that he or she also masters English or French at a reasonable level to be able to work in an environment and to be able to communicate with colleagues. I think you all agree with me. But to sit the tests, you really have the free choice, and there's no ranking in importance of test languages.
Just as a follow-up to this, we asked if there is any quota for nationalities.
Yes, a good question again. And the answer is really short, no. There are no national quota, which means everybody is really equal. We only look at the scores of your tests, and that's how we make the ranking. There is no nationality criterion. Nationality is not an issue for our competitions.
And another question is about age. Is there any age limit? There was a participant who said, what about somebody who's 50 plus?
Yeah, so we have no age limit. We do not discriminate on age. Whatever age you have, you can apply to this competition. If you are successful, you can be hired. You can apply until the age of 67, I think it is these days. Anyway, this being said, if you apply to an AD5 grade competition and you are successful, you will be offered a job at grade AD5, even if you have a higher degree, even if you have multiple years of professional experience. You cannot be hired as an AD6 or AD7 official. No, when you take part in an AD5 competition, you are hired as an AD5 official. Now, little side remark, in each grade, there are 5 steps. If you do not have any work experience, you will be hired at step 1. Based on your CV, you may be offered a step 2 or a step 3 when you are hired. That's really depending case on case, and it also depends on the institution that hires you at the time. But that's where it gets. Once you start working as an AD5, through seniority and through merit, you will be promoted and you will become an AD6 and an AD7 and an AD8 later on. So you do not have to sit new external competitions to become an AD6 or an AD7 official. This will go actually automatically.
And going to the other end of the age range, somebody's asking, what about if you get your diploma in June? You already answered the thing, I think, this in your presentation, but maybe you can repeat it, Koen.
Yes, so indeed, this competition is really the opportunity for young graduates to apply because you only require a bachelor degree. And even so, students in their last year of studies who will obtain their bachelor's degree by the 30th of September of this year can already apply. So, and this being said, I know these young graduates will have to compete with people with a higher degree, with a master's degree, people with work experience also. But you should know that the tests are designed for people with just a bachelor's degree to be able to make it. right? And we have examples. I mean, I had a former trainee who was just a bachelor student. She did a traineeship with us. She then did a competition, and she was successful. And she started working first in EPSO, and now she left. She went somewhere else. But this is perfectly possible. So this competition is really a major opportunity for young graduates to come and join us.
Very good. Maybe we can move to something more related to the application portal and how to upload documents. One question that is recurring in the chat is about the possibility to update your application and or your CV after you have submitted it.
Yeah. So, of course, you cannot alter or change your application form. Once you have submitted it, you've submitted it. It's done. Now, I know what you are referring to. Say a year from here, when you may get recruited, your life has changed and your CV has changed. So, of course, you always have access to your CV to update it. And the CV is what the recruiters will look at when they start recruiting these people from the reserve list, right? So try and keep it up to date. Also, once you are in this list of successful candidates, as I said, you will have access to vacancies to which you can apply freely. When you apply, you can, of course, add your CV again to your application. You can also draft a motivation letter to explicitly show why you would like to work on that specific position, to make sure that you stand out regarding your competitors on the list.
Very good. And still on this topic of the technicalities of the application portal, but also related to eligibility, some candidates are asking if they have to upload also the proof of knowledge of languages and of the contracts, the work experience.
Yes, very good. First of all, regarding the work experience, for this competition, we do not require work experience. You don't have to upload anything but your degree, okay? For other competitions where we require work experience, there indeed you have to upload your contracts from employers, for instance, with the dates from when till when you work there. But for this competition, you do not need to upload them. You can, of course, list them and try and be as specific as possible, because once you start looking for a job, when you are successful, recruiters can want to see when and which experience you might have gained. Regarding the languages, you do not have to prove any language skill by any certificate. Some of you may know about traineeships in the institutions. When you apply for a traineeship, you indeed have to prove your language knowledge by a certificate or by a degree in that specific language. With us, with a competition, with any competition, you never have to prove your language skills. You just pick 2 languages, and if you perform well, if you sit the test and you're successful in them, it shows that you master. It shows us that you master the language at a good enough level to perform your duties in the institutions.
Okay, very good. Another question is about the reserve lists. So the management of the reserve list, I think, has created some questions. How long will the reserve list remain valid? And what happens if several people are scoring the same? Will they all be put on the reserve lists?
Okay.
How is this managed?
All right. So the reserve list is indeed a pool of, in this case, 1,490 people. Indeed, the best ranked people, as I explained. Now, in case of same results, at the very bottom of the list, if the number 1,491 has the same points as number 1,490, this person will also add it to the list, right? So we extend the list then. That's easy. Now, about the validity, initially the validity of the reserve list is 1.5 years. So imagine that we publish the list of successful candidates on the 1st of January 2027, to take an easy date. It would then be valid until the 30th of June 2028. And during these 18 months, the recruiters, all these different institutions, commission, parliament, council, whatever, they start recruiting off this list. People on the list, once you are on this list, you're not ranked anymore. Everybody is equal, but everybody has his or her own CV. And based on the CVs, the institutions try and match the vacancies with the people on the list, okay? So they try and start recruiting as much as possible. Some of you, some of the successful candidates, may be offered a job in the first week or weeks after publication of this list. Some people may have to wait a couple of months. So it's hard to predict now how many people will exactly be offered the job and will really start working within these 18 months. It depends a bit on the vacancies and the people on the list to see how fast this recruitment goes. Now, after these 18 months, if there are still people left on the list, we do not close the list down. We simply extend the validity with another year, and recruiters keep on recruiting. And we can extend the validity again and again as long as is needed. We do not easily close down lists. Lists can be open for, say, 10 years even, okay? Now, good to know is, say that you are just a bachelor student, you are successful, but you first want to do your master, which is perfectly sensible, okay? In that case, you simply let us know, EPSO, that you are currently not available for recruitment, and we kind of flag you red. And as soon as you tell us that you are available for recruitment, we flag you green again, and you are recruitable. So you stay on that list as long as the list exists. And this can, as I said, be a considerable length of time.
Very good. We have just a few minutes left. There are many questions still in the chat, but I think we already replied to many. I have two last questions for you, Koen. One is about possibility to have extra time for people who have a diagnosis like ADHD or dyslexia or any other condition. And the second question is about will there be future competitions of this kind?
Yeah. So first, regarding specific accommodation needs. When you apply, you will find a box in the application form where you can describe if you need specific accommodation, and we grant this specific accommodation. So depending on your case, really case by case, we look into your case, and we attribute more time, or we even in some cases invite people to come to the office, and we help them with the tools to be able for them to sit the tests. So we really do not discriminate. Everybody is equal to apply. Everybody will get the reasonable accommodation they need to sit these tests as anybody else. Then regarding future competition, so as you've heard, we've done this test now, or this competition now is the first time in 7 years. Between 2010 and 2019, we kind of ran this test almost every year, for some of you who may know this. We have not decided yet how it will go in the future. We now concentrate on this competition, which we will want to deliver in a reasonable delay of time. We then start, or then the institutions start to recruit all these people. So very probably next year, there will not be a similar competition. Maybe the year after or the year after that, we don't know yet. We do not know yet if it will be recurrent every, I don't know, second or third year. All of that has not been discussed yet. We really concentrate now on this first big one. Since there's been a gap of 7 years, it's really a big competition for us to run and to deliver. If ever we know something more about planning in the future years, we will announce this on our website, of course. This being said, if you hesitate about this particular opportunity, again, don't hesitate. I've said it before, this is the opportunity for you to apply. You have a lot of information to prepare available on our website or offered by your member states. So I'd really say take this opportunity and become one of us.
Thank you, Koen. So now we're arriving to the end of our LinkedIn Live event. This event will stay available on the EU Careers LinkedIn webpage. So for those of you who are asking where do we find the recording, just go to our EU Careers LinkedIn webpage and you will see it, I think, pinned for some time. Keep checking our website. We may use all the questions that were coming in to update a bit our FAQs. We also have on our website an AI assistant that crawls the content of the website and helps you find the answers to your questions. So that's also a way for you to find some of the answers that you may not have had today. We really tried to go through as many topics as possible, but there were very many questions, almost 2,000 participants. So I think really the interest is very high. We already said several times, do not wait until the last minute to apply. And that said, I want to thank Koen for sharing all the useful information. Thank all the participants for attending this event. And of course, I wish you all good luck with your applications. Thank you very much.
Maybe a final word from my end as well, Sandra. So many of you who will apply to this competition may not make it to the list of successful candidates. We must be honest, right? In a way, the majority will not make it. Now, failing this competition or not being among the top 1,490 does not mean you're not fit for a job with us. Just try again. There are multiple opportunities to come in the years, in the months and years to come.
Thank you, Koen. Very important point. Bye-bye.